this next game, AlphaX versus Team Liquid.
AlphaX versus Team Liquid. Game 3.
Oh, they did that one fast. Game 3. I thought it was going to be Game 3. RagnaroK and Clem coming up right here as we get this up and running. Let's see what goes down. In the top left-hand corner, our blue Zerg player from AlphaX. This is RagnaroK. Curious Minds the map. So nice starting map for Clem, our red Terran in the bottom right-hand side. Obviously, talked about last time. Didn't make sense for him to come out against RagnaroK initially compared to Mana because the first map was Hardwire. There's Clem, our red Terran player, in map number 1 of this best of 2. So this is how this works, guys. So Liquid have 2 lives left, AlphaX have all 4. If Clem loses a map, Liquid will lose another life, but they have 1 life remaining after that. Then you can revive Clem again if you would like to use Clem one more time. So basically the way this works is that you can revive Clem. So Clem plays, you revive Clem if he loses a map. But then once Clem gets revived, that's his last chance. So basically, Clem needs to take 3 lives off of AlphaX while only losing 1 map. So he basically needs to go like 5-1. Now, once he gets to the last life of AlphaX, if he loses another map, he can still have another go because they would both be on that last life at the same time. So Clem basically needs to go 5-1 right now against RagnaroK and whoever else AlphaX send out, and then he can play, and then he's got another life. If he goes, obviously he basically that's what it is. So for now, just think about that, guys. For now, for Liquid to be able to basically get back in the series, Clem needs to go 5-1 or 6-0. 6-0 is better. 5-1 means that they're both on 1 life at the same time. And it can be in any order, right? Like, you know, if Clem loses a map here against RagnaroK, but then he goes through and he, you know, 4-0s the other guys after, that's fine. If he goes 2-0, 2-0, then 1-1, that's fine. It doesn't really matter the order. But the idea is he has to go 5-1, and that's assuming they're going to revive Clem as well. So, I mean, Clem yesterday went amazing mode against Solar, played a very strong late game TvZ, some very cool games in general. He played really well against Trap 3-0 there against the Afrika Freaks. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. But basically, as long as Clem keeps winning, we're in for a whole bunch of Clem games right now is the expectation. So should be fun. If Clem wins the series, Harston will eat a shoe. Words from the mouth of Team Captain Team Liquid, guys, Keller. So we have Harston eating a shoe about 1.5 hours from now. Is he going to do it the cheat mode, though, and eat a chocolate shoe? Can we specify what kind of shoe he needs to eat? Because last time he ate a chocolate shoe, and I appreciate the actual attempt to eat a shoe, unlike others in the community. But I do feel as though maybe we need to specify a bit more. How about we don't eat a shoe? How about Harston has to stream with a shoe on his head for a day? Oh, I mean, we could go for a week, but I mean, I don't know if Harston really agrees to anything I say ever, so I'm just trying to make it somewhat convincing. Alright, Banshee coming up, Cloak is coming through, and just going to be seeing the couple of extra Hellions on the way out as well, so all of this being brought up at the moment. I'm just going to be seeing a couple Queens coming in on the side of RagnaroK. A few Lings and a few drones continuing in production as well. So all of this getting set up right now as we get this underway. Love when you get the Chinese announcers making an appearance on stream. I have no idea what it said, but it sounded way cuter than anything else I've heard in StarCraft 2, I can tell you that much. So Banshee Cloak, safe opening here from Clem. Wants to make sure on the shorter map RagnaroK's not going to be able to do anything too aggressive. RagnaroK is going to open double Evo. By opening double Evo, that does mean you're not going to be playing the faster lair, which means you're not going to have the Banshees around, or the Overseers around to help with the Banshees, so that is actually a factor to consider. Not having that mobile detection could be something that hurts you a little bit here as RagnaroK. That is a possibility. As the Hellions go to the left-hand side, a couple of queens getting set up. Melee upgrades will start. Obviously, that will be RagnaroK on an upgrade lead then. And Clem will just have to play around the fact that obviously his opponent will not have Baneling speed for a little bit longer. Right now, keeping his Hellions alive. I do like it, especially if your opponent's going to go double Evo upgrades early. I think if you keep those Hellions alive and they can join in the first fight when there's no Baneling speed, they're going to have a very good time. The Banshees are going to cloak up and try and make an appearance over here as they will work their way around to the far side of the hatchery, which is a little more out of range of the spore. Slash giving them the option to dive into the natural, which is where we're going to find a few of these drone kills. I'm already picking up a few drones and getting some good damage done. It's not a bad start from Clem at all, as we do see him all the way into the main base. Gonna get some shots on the queen. Anything you can chip away at is good, and a queen stopped to fight for a moment. Clem now has 8 work kills under his belt, so... Oh, he's actually gonna lose one Banshee, though, so that Banshee went out of cloak energy. Loses one, a little bit of a shame now. Loses one Hellion at the front, but does get a good few circlings forward at least, so finding some value there, if nothing else. Hellion's really going to try and go for more drones. Clem just wants to commit through and get as many drone kills as possible. He's going to end up with 15 drone kills, so really not bad. Not bad at all, but overall the question will be, is it enough? 16 drones dead in total, and Clem only 9 workers behind, but obviously these are now drones you have to rebuild as RagnaroK rather than building into other units and other army units, so that's a factor as Clem's going to start moving onto the map. There's going to be a little run by here. As Clem moves onto the map, he's going to try and bring that Banshee back into play as well if possible. He's just trying to get the Banshee back into action. And these medevacs not really finding too much just yet. So a couple of drones with SCVs. Both players taking some losses here initially. I'm just going to find an overlord at least, so it's always nice. And he's going to stim down the ramp onto that 4th base. There's no creep there, so it's actually a nice little position to work around for the moment, trying to deny that position. Marine's going to hop up into the main, and the Lings will be with the Banelings joining together and making a little bit of a move forward there as well. And it's going to push the medevacs back out of here, so medevacs do get pushed away. Drop not really able to do too much altogether. And it's continuing across from the left-hand side, going in for those Marines. Marines will get kept out the equation at the moment, and just going to be seeing our Marines reset in a little bit. Well, Clem, one of the things he doesn't have control of is that creep spread down the left side. That is obviously running rampant down over here, so it's going to be something of a factor. Something you really do need to get some control over, because you just don't want that to be a continued issue, right? You want to make sure you can deal with that as best you can. If you don't have the... if you don't get rid of that creep, you have got a Zerg that can run down that side of the map very quickly and easily, and you just can't pressure up this side very easily either. Good trade from Clem, gets rid of those Banes, is able to get a good start on that fight, and is able to put some pressure on the Hydras, so they have to respect that, and we will end up backing away. Clem's still stimming up top right as well. That's going to be seeing no target fire on any Banelings there, just going to lift up, and now move elsewhere as the Queens continue to press forward. Some more creep teamers coming through. Oh, Hydra gets the full medevac. That's obviously really sick. Army up to the top side. Marine tank going to be making a push. Coming through, a couple of Balins going to get chased away, and just going to be having this army getting set up. A couple of Queens getting chased down, so Queens getting chased, a few Lings getting picked off pretty much immediately. Actually taking a lot of damage as our Marines will stem up once again. This push from Clem getting underway. That's going to be seeing the few Balins on the left-hand side, going to get shot down also. Just going to see Ling Hydra going to run on forward. Tank's going to target fire down a whole bunch of these Banelings, so Bane's taking some damage. These Marines, the question mark is, does enough Banelings die so the Marines can stand and fight? And yes, they do, because he can target fire the rest of them. He's doing a very good job of this. We're going to lift up, and Clem's going to back away, but the trades have been fantastic so far for Clem, putting himself in a fantastic position. Really putting himself in a great place. There's going to be seeing Marines and tanks now moving out to the front lines. And getting set on up over here. Clem will move forward, and he will look for more damage. These Hydras and these Lings get chased away. Clem just, again, taking really great trades, right? He knows that if he can just reduce the Baneling count low enough, you can just go from there. And, yeah, it's just been very nicely handled. He's just playing a good game, guys. Just going to see these couple of Hydras getting chased down as well on the top side. These few Marines will unload and fight some Queens. Also, RagnaroK doesn't really have a way to stay in this, and hence the GG, giving Clem the 1-0. And Clem gets the first part of the job done. First map of the day for Team Liquid. Clem Micro God. He actually played pretty sick there, right? I mean, no doubt about it. It was a good game from him. That's some good stuff. Let's dive into map 2. Top right side, our blue Zerg player from AlphaX is RagnaroK. Bottom left. A little bit early. On the left will be our red Terran player, Clem. So, Hardwire, big map for the Zerg. Obviously, Zergs really do like this. Let's see if RagnaroK can get the map win, knock a life off Liquid, and force Clem to be revived. If Clem can 2-0, he keeps 2 lives on the board, and he will then be 2-0 along the way of his necessary 5-1 or better, basically, to even out the league. Even out the match. I guess if he wins this and he goes 2-0 again, you can also then consider it just being evened out. Like I say, there's a load of point of references you can use to figure out where we're at here. Basically, right now, I'd say you're still looking at Clem to go 5-1, or better if they want to just even out the series and have a chance. Just gonna say going 6-0. You know, obviously just go 7-0 and win the whole thing, right, Clem? But that ain't. That's more easily said than done, realistically. Wouldn't mind seeing Clem pull out a proxy rax. Clem never proxy raxes. I think one day Clem's going to do a proxy rax, and it's going to be like, oh my god, Clem's proxy rax, and it's going to be like a big tournament, no one expects it. It's going to completely fail, and we're going to be like, oh, what a waste. And we'll then forever use that as an explanation as to why Clem doesn't proxy rax, because he really doesn't proxy rax. Ever. I was going to see a few Lings, a couple of Queens coming up. The factory is on the way down. Command Center coming along as well. Getting this up and rolling at the moment. They're just going in after a few of those Zerglings. Lings taking some damage. Obviously, a pretty standard Reaper engagement here at the start. Just going to get this pushed around a little bit and... Well, grenade goes down, pushes the Queen back, and the Teamer at the front is going to survive. I mean, that's pretty much the expectation. And we'll drop down at 3rd CC, so going to play into that macro focus once again here, so getting that established. Isn't there a clip of Clem, Proxy Rax, and Rain on Eternal Empire? That was in the, yeah, so I think that was on, so I think Eternal Empire, was that in the ESL Open Cup, and he just Proxy Rax the last game and he quit? He also proxy raxed Raynor during the Red Bull tournament, the Red Bull Zelnaga Finest event. And, but that was in a series where he'd already, because the winner of the tournament then played Raynor in like a best-of-3 show match at the end, and they won like a prize. But if you won multiple, then you just couldn't win the prize a second time. It got gifted out to the community, which is what was meant to happen if Raynor wins. So Clem had already beaten Raynor like the week before, so he was literally playing this best-of-3 for nothing. So he was just like, okay, I'm tired. He proxy racks, I think he lost the first game, and then he just proxy racks and like left very quickly the second time. But he did leave very recently against Raynor. Was it on Eternal Empire? No. He left very recently on Raynor on an ESL Open Cup not long ago. I remember it. I saw my YouTube. I casted it recently. So that happened. It must have been on the new maps. I just can't think which one. Anyway. Fusion Core coming up. Something that Clem has been doing, mixing in these Battlecruiser openings. And it's very unlike Clem, but we saw a bit of it yesterday. And I like the mix-up. And on a map like Hardwire as well, it can just help to keep the Zerg in check. It can give you that better opening that you're looking for here. RagnaroK's playing very safe too. He drops down in Baneling Nest initially. Now, that will help against some of the aggression, but it won't help so much against the obviously the Battlecruiser. It will help if the Battlecruiser comes with Hellbats. So if you go for a BC Hellbat attack, then obviously, yes, that will be a little bit more useful, and that will be something that can come into play, perhaps. So we'll see. We'll see what Clem wants to do. I think it was yesterday he did go BC Hellbat against Solar, and he traded out pretty well with the Queens and stuff, so was able to do okay there. As they just get a couple of extra racks and a couple of more refineries continuing through as well. The Italians of Clem still moving up to the top side. And away they go. So that's plenty of Hellions up to the top. The Reaper as well. And just going to be seeing the Zerglings continuing their way around. Just going to see these things actually going to get taken down. And so Clem has access into the main mineral line. And that's going to be scary. Newlings are spawning. Can you get rid of these Hellions? Oh, the drones need to find a way out, man. You can see they're trying to struggle figuring out what the best way to run away is. They know they got to get out of here. 6 drones dead. The Hellions are low HP, though. 7 drones killed. These Hellions are going to start dying soon. Oh, my goodness. The fact that they're all alive on such low HP is kind of ridiculous, but they'll get cleaned out now. And, well, 8 drones is nice. We're going to see Hellions dive in the natural and only getting the 1 extra. That's where the 8th drone came from. But now the BC comes in as well, so you've had the Queens running around. The BC gets a few kills. I mean, this is all basically part of a combined attack, right? You know, you do a little bit here and a little bit there, and it all just adds up to kind of give you what you need. These Zerglings are going to run forward, and they're going to go for a grab on these Hellions. They are going to go down. Marine getting picked off. BC dealing some damage. Just going to see those Lings trying to jump onto the SCVs once again. One of the SCVs going to fall pretty quickly. Alright, well, an SCV also going down on the counter attack, but I kind of like this from Clem, right? 62 to 61 workers each right now, so the worker count's even. We actually see a Spire on the way up from RagnaroK, so fast Spire, and it's going to end up going fast Mutalisks here. We'll go melee upgrades behind it. Again, just a single BC from Clem, so the Mutas can help to defend against that BC, push it back. Obviously, the BC will also help, vice versa, to help push back Mutas, so you know, we'll see what the Mutas can do. Obviously, playing Mutas is not something which we see all of the time anymore. A lot of players prefer to just play straight into Ling Bane, pure Ling Bane into Hydras, and all the rest of it is just very powerful, is very strong. A lot of the time, there's not really much need to do anything too different than that, so. Let's pull back down to the south side, so moving away again here. Planes come through as Zergling gets picked off. These 2 medevacs are going to go out to the middle of the map, and away they go. Some Marines can unload and obviously try and get some pressure done. We still have a few Hellions coming through as well. I mean, this is a nice initial timing from Clem. He's got stim and no other upgrades, but it's also, I guess, Bane speed's finishing soon. It's as the Mutas pop is generally the big thing. You spent your gas on Mutas, so you're not spending your gas on Banelings, and this gives you the chance to do okay. However, if you get overwhelmed here because of the Mutas and you can't win the fight and you get pushed back and you lose everything, then this can go very badly wrong for Clem very quickly. And then that becomes a bigger issue as well for sure, as the Mutas chase down this time. Because of the rocks, Clem can fly over those, so he can get away from the Mutas and start, away from the Zerglings and unload very quickly, which then pushes the Mutas back. If that doesn't happen, the Mutas chase the Medivacs, then the Marines can't unload because there's Lings there, and that's when it can go very wrong very quickly for sure. So in this regard, Clem is going to be able to do okay. As the BC, like I mentioned, will act as something of a defense against the Mutas, at the very least convince them to at least take a step back here. Marines going through, the Mutas still getting chased away, and just going to be seeing the only of RagnaroK having to pull back up the top side. BC going to take some hits. And as do have our Marines continuing forward, and that creep spread is being knocked on down. Creep continuing to drop at the moment as our Marines come through. These Mutas, oh, I think one of them just got picked off. I think just the one went down there is just going to be seeing the rest of these Marines on the left-hand side. Well, they are going to be coming through and holding this position as well. Clem has a 16-20 supply lead. He's in a good position, man. I mean, a supply lead right now is already great. The big question mark is, can you end the game with it being such a large map and not having your reinforcements arriving as quickly? Right now, the answer is no. He had a lot of Widow Mines back at home. They're not going to burrow up properly, though. I don't believe a single Widow Mine fired here. And Clem loses a lot of Medivacs with good target firing from RagnaroK's Mutalisks, being able to capitalize on that. Oh man, that was a little bit rough, as we're going to see his Marines moving back through. The Queen's taking some more damage. I do think the one bad thing for Clem there was just the fact his Widow Mines never got burrowed. It seemed like they were all back at home, so none of them were there with the initial army. And then when they all showed up, they were just clumped together. They weren't burrowing right, because obviously they were clumped together. They just arrived. That obviously, I think, threw Clem quite a bit, and actually really did give RagnaroK a good defense right then and there. Because otherwise, it was looking scary for RagnaroK. He was down in supply and really hurting. Now, RagnaroK's about to be on his way, finishing up +2 carapace, while Clem is quite far behind on that, actually. So that's going to be something of interest as well. That upgrades from Clem are so much later. Now, there's no +2 melee from RagnaroK, so it's not completely behind. It's mostly just going to be that +2 carapace. So, the more important upgrade, but like I say, not everything. Clem going to start up a 5th base in position. I mean, yesterday we saw Clem, quite literally, he said, just play like Mario, okay then. And he did just that as the Thors realized they are stuck. They were doing a bit of a dance here. Clem realizes, though, and will bring them out of the main base. We saw a bit of a stuck Thor yesterday as well. There's been some common themes in this World Team League playoffs so far. Widow Mine goes down. The missile turret is getting picked off as well. A couple of SCVs will also go down. And a couple more turrets will be placed as well. So again, those turrets in position. 5 on the way in the main. We'll take down that add-on, which is always nice. Clem, like I said, just more CCs coming up. Looks like he is going to get pretty comfortable building into this later stage of the game. And I think you have to on a map like Hardwire as well. Just be happy to make a move like that. So that seems to be the plan. PC teleports across the map is going to get a couple of drones right off the bat here as well. We're going to see now the Marines, the Thors, making their way up to the top. These Banelings are going to start rolling in. That's a good Widow Mine shot. This Widow Mine, a couple of them just up on that top side, left behind, and actually going to be pretty deadly, getting a good chunk of Banelings to start out with. Clem waiting on his +2 armor, by the way, as we still see no +2 melee on the side of RagnaroK. Both players' upgrades are just in a little bit of a scrappy scenario at the moment. These Thor needs to do some tanking here, perhaps. The Marines are going to split back away from the base, but this is all fighting off creep. This little bit of creep that just pushes through on this high ground helps so much, because it really just allows you to basically, as RagnaroK, take these little bit of better fights that you wouldn't be able to take otherwise. And it goes a long way, as we're going to be seeing these units trying to get rid of these Banelings, man. They've been chasing for a while. Another Widow Mine here connects. Now the Thor is going to do that tanking I talked about. Saved by the Medivac. Oh, lifts back in, and it gets shot down by the Mutalisks. Oh, Clem's supply is disappearing. RagnaroK is doing enough to overtake control on this right now. These Mutas are working their way on the depot, so the Lings can get into the natural. But the Lings don't even need to be in the natural. They're doing fine elsewhere. They're going to pull a few away to the left-hand side orbital as well. And Clem, just not the fights that he needed here. And this is looking to be very, very dangerous then for Team Liquid, because they will be on their last life, and Clem will not be able to lose another map after this if he's the one that gets revived. This is going to be really, really rough as we see these Zerglings being turned away once again. 7 SCVs going down. The Lings are dropping one more time. I mean, Clem is going to survive. He is going to hold on. Is it over? No. And I think primarily it's not going to be over because it's Lingbane Muta. If this was kind of like Lurkers, I think Clem is maybe dead. But because it's Lingbane Muta, I think Clem takes a step back in the game. He scans the top left, sees it's not saturated. He scans right side and sees it's not a base there. And he probably also believes, okay, well, you're 5 bases, just about setting up on a base 6. You're not in a crazy situation or a crazy stage of economy. So I think Clem also believes he is also kind of alive and kicking at the very least. Now, as the Ultra Cavern comes into play, what needs to happen next from Clem? Marauders, well, he's building 3 of those at a time, so that's the right idea. Ghosts definitely will help against the Ultras, of course. I don't think you need the Ultras here. The Ghosts against the Ultras right away. I don't think you need the Ghosts against the Ultras right away. I think you need the Ultras. Why do I keep saying the Ultras? Well, I think you need the Ghosts when the Ultra count gets serious enough, but you can survive without them for a little bit. And obviously Clem is maybe not rich enough to afford them immediately, so I imagine that'll be something of a factor in what he decides to do. The Thor tanking some of these Banelings and just going to try and get some shots off on the Mutas. I feel like we've seen this fight here 100 times, right? This fight on this high ground area covered in creep. And again, just Clem pushing up into that position, choosing to fight there. You just can't get rid of that little bit of creep. Cannot do it. We've seen Banelings continuing up. Lings on the way in. Widowmine is actually going to be, again, only 1 shot off on those Mutalisks. And let's see, another Widowmine shot. Boom, hits the Overseer, hits another few Mutas. He's able to do okay as the Mutas escape back up. Left-hand side is a lot of Banelings that are now going to be moving through, and the Thor right there as well. Widowmine shots continue to come down. It's just Banelings continue to roll towards Clem right now, but he's splitting and dealing with them. 14 SCVs dropping. His army supply staying somewhat stable, though. Can he stay alive in this? Can he keep this going? Widowmine's actually hitting the Mutas down over there as well. This is still just Lingbane Muta, right? Yes, we've got the Ultra Cavern, but we've not really moved into it yet. 3-3 upgrades finishing soon from Clem, as he will lose the bottom right command center, so that's a base he will now miss out on. These Mutas really are low. They need to be careful. Obviously, you don't want to lose all your Mutas as RagnaroK. That could be a momentum swing back in favor of Clem. Getting rid of a Queen. Going to get after these few drones. More Lings into that left-hand side base. Just going to be seeing these 2 medevacs loading up, and they're going to go boosting away as well, as we have got the 10 Banelings in production at the moment. 11 drones coming through as well. These morphing Banelings at least, so that's something. These 2 drops are just going to get killed. That's minus 20 supply for Clem. Right off the bat, that Widowmine shot hits a good few Lings, but man, he was very close to hitting the center of a group of Banelings that should have been massive as well. See, now these fights, when they happen off creep, should in theory be a little bit better for Clem, but he just can't quite get enough done for it to be overly great, and he doesn't have the Marauders here anymore to fight the Ultra, so the Ultra is going to be a problem. Thor gets saved, taken out of the equation for a few moments. Ultra escapes out of there alive as well. And a couple of spines continuing up as RagnaroK just tries to make sure he's going to be as safe as possible from potential counterattacks and drops and harassment. And that he will just be able to get a chance to really balloon out this game and close it out without being in too much trouble. Clem's supply is climbing back up once again, but it's still just bio mine. At this point, it's been so hectic, it's been so active of a game that you just can't justify the investment into the... you really can't justify the investment into the late game here, right, and into the Ghosts. But it's also because RagnaroK isn't doing that either, right? He's not going to a super late game army, so it's also not really needed that you go for a super late game army yourself. Like, I don't disagree, a few Ghosts would be nice, and he actually has got 1 in production now. The question is, can you get there reliably without it just being a complete disaster? Clem My goodness, he was actually doing okay against those Banes initially. Now he's been decided to just pull back completely. He will turn, Marauder will tank, but again, you're just going to be left with no Marauder here. And that's an issue in itself. Just no Marauders against these Ultras that are running through. They're going to do great against the Marines, and once more, a trade for RagnaroK that looks very good for himself. He's going to get Lings down onto the orbital. And RagnaroK continue to do decently as... I would love to see the resources lost tab just right now. Quickly see where we stand. Even just the units lost tab and see how many Lings and so on have been lost this game. Because obviously RagnaroK has been throwing units at Clem for quite some time at this point. Oh, another nice Widow Mine reach across. Hits a good clump of those Zerglings. I'm getting a little bit of supply block, just loses some structures, the bottom right base going down, and that really is going to be the reason he can't stay in this game, right? Not being able to establish new bases. I think credit to Clem, because a lot of players would have just died by now, but he's kept himself just about in it. So, of course, big difference between keeping yourself in it and really still being in like a super competitive position. Going to get rid of this queen. These fielders are going to charge forward. The Fire Force here will, of course, have to take some steps back. Gonna re-engage in as Banelings, man, and these Banelings are just going to roll out of Clem. He was very clumped together, just eager to kind of clump up and take as much of a fight as he could, and that's going to be too much. GG from Clem. RagnaroK. Well, he's going to get a game back, and that means Clem has to revive now. And a reviving Clem means he's on his last life. No more maps can be dropped for a couple of series. Clem must go 2-0 against the next player and 2-0 against the player after.
AlphaX versus Team Liquid. Game 4.
Top right hand side, blue Protoss. I think go low ground. Oh no! Whoa! Just straight probe across the map from Zaun. Okay, he's the blue Protoss top right from AlphaX. Let's see what aggression he's going to try and bring off this. Bottom left, out right Terran players. Team Liquid's Clem. Is this just going to be a super fast probe just to scout? Wow. It is. It's just going to be a super fast probe to come across here and scout. And as you move into scout, obviously going to see the Rax isn't here. Well, the Rax is not really proxied. It's just out on the map a little bit, just northeast of the main base of the Terran. So you can see the probe is already clicked over there to go and check out on it. So, well, let's hope this SCV can obviously keep this up and running. Otherwise, that's going to be kind of sad. RagnaroK won the last game. How come they have to send out another player? Because they played 2 maps. So Clem and RagnaroK played 2 maps. And because RagnaroK lost the first game, he won the second game, which means both teams lose a life and both teams must send out a new player. Liquid have their revive now available on their last player, so as it's their last life. So they revive Clem, and AlphaX, they send out Zaun. It must be someone different because, well, we obviously, as we saw, it's... they've got a lot of lives left. They've got 3 lives left. At the top of your screen, you can see 3 lives versus the 1. That is why. As the probe is going to head home. I mean, not a big deal to spot the racks or anything. Just a little bit of a mind game. This is an investment from Zaun, obviously. Early game to send a probe across the map so quickly to get that into the base and all of that. So that is a factor. Definitely something else worth considering. CC is setting up on the natural expansion then. Hellion and the Reaper coming through, and just going to be seeing another Reaper starting up as well. Getting this up and running here, and just going to be having that Nexus finishing shortly. Twilight Council on the way. That Warp Gate also coming out. over the next few moments. Zaun, very Twilight-heavy player sometimes. You know, not as much as others. He does mix in the Stargate a bunch, but I feel like Zaun really is one of those players that's also very fond of the 4-gate blinks and that kind of action. He has got a probe on the south side of the map again, by the way, so it's too late to build a pylon and a dark shrine, but maybe some just scouting from that probe. Like I say, he's just chilling on the south side of the map at the moment. As we do have our Resonating Glaives. Oh, I'll talk about switching it up. Resonating Glaives is absolutely going to be one way to do it. That's a very unique way to play. Very different. Kind of like it, though. Yeah, I kind of like it. Reapers and the Hellions come through, that Adept goes down, and now these probes get pulled in. Probes just being pulled straight into this, and just going to be seeing the Hellions in the main will have a battery to contend with. Going to send the Reaper out of there and at least keep that alive, and we can come back around for more information or scouting later, perhaps. When you see the Twilight Council were in a way, but do you assume that it's going to be, you know, Glaives over a, a blink? One gateway on the bottom side of the map. We casted a Clem versus Showtime series recently, where Clem played against Showtime in an ESL Open Cup semifinal. I think that's going to go up on my YouTube tonight, even. And it wasn't a very aggressive Adept play from Showtime, but that was in response to seeing Clem going for like a very quick 3cc, if I'm not mistaken. So intrigued by just straight up playing Glaives at the start. Now, the Raven may not help much against this, but the Raven's something you probably need here just in case it's DTs. So the investment to the Raven there. You can still auto turret, that will help a little bit against the Adepts. If you can soak some shots, then brilliant. The bunker is very important for Clem as well. Without that bunker, you could end up in a lot of problems very quickly. He's going to come up with this Reaper again, looking for the probe. The probe actually backed away, so that third base is not being taken immediately. Still just seeing the extra Adepts warping in down to the south side of the map. So extra Adepts will warp in over here. And the Raven, well, going up with everything else and ready a defense. Obviously, there's not going to be any kind of upgrade or anything for the bio units for a while. As his first SCV is going down quickly. Clem, you can see his eyes looking around, darting around, trying to figure out what's going on. 8 SCVs for your entire army. I don't like it for Zaun at all. I think that's horrendous. Clem takes a magnificent fight, right? I mean, you lose 8 SCVs, but okay, now you're down 7 workers, which is typically where a Protoss should be anyway, by the way. You know, you should be up like 7, 8 workers. So you're ahead the workers you should be, but you have no army because you just threw it all at Clem's base. So, yeah, not really ideal, huh? Not really great at all. These Stalkers are going to get a Reaper maybe, but yeah, I really don't like this at all for Zaun. Let's see what he can do with it. He's going to be moving into Blink, then the Robo Bay. I get the feeling that when Clem hits Stim and Combat Shield, he's got a very good chance to come across the map and kill, and that's probably why you make this Disruptor. Because the Disruptor will give you the ability to maybe get that faster kind of shot off, that faster connection. I imagine that'll be something of a factor here. These Stalkers are still just blinking up and just going to be having now a Stim, Combat Shields, and all the rest going through. The Raven just putting some harassment down. He's going to spot this gateway down here as well, so Clem will know about that. One of the saving graces here from Zaun, the size of the map. It's not going to be a quick map to move across, so Clem's not going to be able to apply pressure super quickly. That will definitely have something of an impact. Tank Siege is up. Just going to be seeing a couple of Widow Mines still coming through. The Concussive Shells coming in. +1 attack upgrade on the way. Disruptor pulling back up around the top here. Well, here we go for Clem. He's going to walk into a Disruptor. Doesn't even have to Stim to kill that off. So that's Zaun just getting a little bit ahead of himself, moving too far forwards. This is all still just coming off the back of that opening from Zaun, which just seemingly has not quite done enough. Another Disruptor. This time we Stim away from it. But that means that that's the only other disruptor right now, and Super Battery is already going to pop. Clem will fight into the Super Battery. He's got a Widow Mine drop now heading into the main. Zound on the picture-in-picture. Orbs and Stalkers against it. Clem boosts the medevac. He's trying to deal with that while also fighting into the Super Battery here. The Probe Zone pulls us down. Didn't pay enough attention, and he does lose 8 workers as the third base goes down as well. And I think it's fair to say that Zound in this map number 1 is in a world of trouble. And Clem at the moment is looking to get the job done. Stalkers, a Colossus coming through. This Bio Army is going to be pressed back. It's going to be seeing a couple extra racks still on the way in here then. So just bringing those up as we get another probe. Tank's going to siege. Okay, that's a good connection on the tanks from the Disruptor on the bottom side. Tanks will not be here to do too much for too long because they get taken down. Clem will chase forward. What does he aim for? I think the Disruptor, you've got a few Marauders left, so you can kill that off pretty quickly. The Raven's still on the top side. It's got energy for a Matrix or so. Maybe it could have gotten more involved, I think is what our Observer is trying to say. But at the end of the day, Clem has done plenty here, and he's obviously taking down that third base more than anything else. That's going to make this very problematic here from Zound. He's going to have to play a pretty difficult position to get back into this. As a few of these probes continue to drop. There's 3 workers going down. The order turret still working away there. You can see the Bioforce of Clem continuing out to the right-hand side. We will scan ahead and just have a look to see what's going on in this Nexus. So just scanning that up and moving forward. Just going to go jumping on it. The Raven going to get caught. Stalkers see it and blink on it pretty much straight away, but one small cancel on the third base is already damaged that Clem needed to do. He doesn't need to do much more. If he'd Matrix both the Colossi, obviously, then he can create more of a, some more damage. Zound is already expecting to drop into the main base. He's already moving to deal with it. Units moving into position. Let's see how this turns out. That's going to be seeing that Colossi firing away. The Marines and Marauders going to hide in the corner. Widowmine gets shot down as well. Those medevacs do lift up and escape down the right side. Away they go, getting out of there for the moment. Clem continues to just control the game, reinforcing across the map. 30 army supply lead right now, still ahead in work, is obviously the third not finding from his opponent. Big stim as he has to dodge away from the Disruptor shots. He's bringing Vikings into play and getting the Ghost Academy online as well, so continuing to tech into everything he needs to continue the success story in this game. Vikings going to help a lot as they jump on this Colossus. Looks like this game is about to end, right? I mean, these Adepts are going down. Everything is falling. This Bio Army gets the Colossus, the Disruptor, the Stalkers. The Adepts still really not very useful. This build from Zound just didn't do enough. I mean, he jumped straight onto the mineral line, but just with the tank in range and... Yeah, I mean that's the issue, right? The tank was in range. Clem had a bunker nearby, so you couldn't trade with any units. Definitely makes a big difference. GG's, and it is going to be Clem taking the first map off Zound, who will get his map pick for this second game now. On the left, our Blue Protoss player, 1 map win to send his team to the top 4 of the World Team League. This is Zound. I keep expecting that when there's this thing to come in, I keep expecting there to be sound, so I'm like, this is, and then the thing comes in, I'm like, oh no, I'm still the one saying the words. Zound! Even on day 2, I'm not quite figuring that one out properly, apparently. Don't mind me, guys. Alright, well, Probe is going to be out and across the bottom side of the map, so going to scout here early. Well, not as early as the last game. Last game was a very early Probe to try and figure out what Clem was up to. This game will be a little bit different. Probe comes in and gonna nibble the SCVs a little bit. So SCV's taking some damage and gonna have a Probe continuing through the main base. Reaper will start up, orbital command on the way. Nexus and the Cybercore on the way from Zound as well. So getting that up and rolling. And Probe just doing a little bit of damage here and there, putting some damage out, and doing decently for the moment. So far, so good. Gonna see our Cybercore finishing up. Our Nexus on the way in. Adept Chrono boosting out as well. All of this just being brought up at the moment too, so getting this underway right now. Well, Paper pops in. Wants a probe. Actually, we'll get one because the Adept pulled back and these probes continue to chase. That was a little bit of a weird movement from Zound, a little bit of a misclick there, perhaps. Does anyone know what the Shark logo is? I think the Shark logo is the logo of Douyu, which is the major streaming site in China. I'm not sure where you saw it, but that would be my best guess. From simply that sentence and no further info on what you're actually talking about. So don't take my word for it, but like, I mean, that would be my guess that, you know, based on Shark logo when we're watching a Chinese tournament. Codre on the way out here from Zound, going to be chrono boosting from Stargate. Reaper's still moving through into the Zent here. Just the Void Ray continuing through. Warp Gate going to be finishing shortly. Teleprobe still coming out. The Adept still coming in. Let's get this going. It was outside of Zound's base. Yeah, I have no clue actually. I will watch for it though. I will watch for the Shark logo. I would imagine it's just a sponsor, which is probably Douyu, which is the streaming service in China. Why no game music? There is game music. If you can't hear the game music right now, I don't know if you've got ears, because it's literally one of the loudest songs that plays. And it's the same sound as the game sounds. Clem playing underdogs with the other hand. Yeah, it's kind of funny that it's kind of funny that Clem's obviously meant to be... He's in France, that's why he's not at home. Because obviously he's in France, he lives in France anyway. But he's in the O Gaming Studios for Underdogs today. Well, he's got to play that at some point. I guess we'll see how that goes. With the consideration that he's obviously trying to play this as well. Void's coming in and tackling the depot there initially. And just going to see what am I pressing forward to send some of the units out. What am I going to hit the Void Rays? Void Rays are a popular choice on Blackburn because usually they can camp out the bottom side of the map and just stop some of the drop play that you don't like to see. So we see the Void Rays on this map more often than you'd expect, right? Put it that way, because it's not the kind of the usual go-to kind of expectation. Yeah. It's an interesting one. I do see the value in them, and especially on this map where I do think initially a lot of the issues on Blackburn was sometimes dealing with some of the drop play, and the only drop play that really happens is through that bottom side of the map, or lifting from the low ground, pushing through the middle of or through the bottom side into the main base. That's going to be seen our Immortal in production, Robo Bay coming through as well. Continuing that up right now as our probe coming back around the top side. Stim, combat shield, +1 attack. All of that continuing through at the moment here as well, as you see the medevac going to load up a couple of Widow Mines. They're going to get chased away out to the top side here, so they get chased out to the top. Robo Bay continues through, and yeah, just going to be seeing this Void Ray taking a bit of damage. The Viking going to get a few shots off on it, and this army from Clem maybe thinking of a fight. I mean, obviously more than anything, we'll just test the waters here and see if there's an opportunity to get anything done. Answer is so far not just yet. He's going to Widow Mine drop here at the same time. He still doesn't quite find the opening he's looking for, so he hangs back, and as Widow Mines get cleaned out, just a couple probes going down to make sure that that gets cleaned up. And Clem's now reinforcing, including a drop through the bottom, because now he knows the Void Rays are with the main army hanging around the third base. He has a bit more freedom to drop into the main than he would have done previously. And that's actually going to be a cool move, especially because Sound just doesn't have vision in his main base initially as well, so he doesn't see this coming in. Now he's going to start moving units here, but there's going to be a couple of Widow Mines to help out. You can see the Adept's going to give itself up, and Adept at this stage of the game is obviously not the most useful of units, so if you're going to give something up, the Adept is one of the better units to give up. That's exactly what will be done. Now the rest of this Bioforce moving up, and a couple of these batteries will continue to get picked away at, so they go down. The Colossus looking to maybe move down this ramp as Widow Mine goes off. And a bunch of these sentries and Adepts being taken down as well, so they will continue to fall here. Bio trying to turn back around, but not able to find too much else just yet. Now the Medevac's trying to unload into the main. Actually going to lose one full Medevac on the way in. Clem trying to go overboard on the aggression, but it is working to some extent because he is able to come through here and kill off those Stalkers, and now he gets the pylon powering everything in the corner. Had a GSL caster cry just then in my outside my headset. Yeah, that's a painful pylon to lose. It unpowers so much. Now we're going to dive the Colossus. He doesn't get it. Now he does get it. Lifts up, escapes away. The Voids were activated during this. 10 probes go down. And Clem is doing pretty much what he did against Trap yesterday here against Sound now. He is just running around with crazy aggression, and Sound just is not keeping up with it. That's going to be seeing that Colossus moving through. Our Bio Army continuing to join in the left-hand side. Continuing to set this up. Well, killing the Colossus is huge because it obviously really does just shut down that splash damage you have available to try and stabilize here. Bioforce moving forward. A couple of Void Rays will activate. Again, looking to just shoot down the Medevacs and the Marauders really quickly with that bonus damage to armored units. Actually does go a long way. Actually does help out pretty substantially more than you might initially expect, I would say, a lot of the time. Because Magic Alignment usually means that you laser those units down. Well, Ghost Academy is still on the way along, the starport coming through as well. Army coming around, Bioforce getting set up, and just going to be having the Army of Clem out over on that right-hand side. The Engineering Bay and an Armory continuing through, and just going to see this Bioforce pressing forward. Still threatening at the front, but now more Colossi coming online. Don't think Clem can just take a straight-up fight there, but he will start a setup otherwise, building a fourth base. Back at home, the extra Vikings are on the way, the Ghosts in production still. Still just bringing this up and getting this going. That's going to be seeing our Armory continues through. Temple Archives will build up over here as well. Honestly, Clem, I think one of the things I've really noticed about him over the last day of these playoffs is that he's really got a... Clem's been developing his play for a long time, right? I really feel the last couple of days, one of the words that keeps coming to my mind is maturity. You know, he's just taken a lot of time to sit back, defend when he needs to defend, right? He knows when to stop putting the pressure on. He's not just constantly throwing units away. Like yesterday against Solo in that big game on Berlingrad, he knew when to stop attacking and when to just tech up. And feels like the same here. You know, he had a lot of good fights, a lot of good drops, and he seems to have just known the good time to just stop and say, right, enough is enough. Instead of stopping once I've already lost a whole bunch and made the mistake of overcommitting, let's stop now while I'm ahead from my drop play, build up a bigger army, and then go from that bigger army and go from there. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that like I say, the word maturity comes to mind because it means he's not just overeager thinking, oh yeah, I can just beat anyone, I'm on a roll right now, I can... No, he knows when to stop and say, enough of a good thing, I need to do something a little bit different. These Vikings working their way through the Colossi. He's just got to stay out of those disruptor shots, and that's exactly what he's doing. As long as he does that, he keeps himself in a very good position here. Disruptor shot there comes through, hits a Marine. Just going to be seeing the Bioforce getting rid of a couple of Zealots as well. Just continuing backwards and forwards. You know, the EMP are still going down. Zealots are still being picked away at. And get the disruptor on the left-hand side. The super battery, I think, is on that high ground now. No, it's just a normal battery. So I saw like the super green beam as we're going to dive on the rest of this. Sound doesn't have enough. GG's. Clem will do it. He will keep himself alive and Team Liquid alive for the moment. So Clem will keep Team Liquid in the back. Oh, he's getting hardcore photographed, guys. He was getting photographed real hardcore.